so that you can refer back. Okay, with that said, very quickly, I just want to introduce our team members. Again, my name is Miss Leah Scott. I am the co-chair PTA president. Mr. Jones, are you available? Okay, he's not quite on yet.
Good evening. Good evening.
Go ahead.
My name is George Jones. I'm the other co-chair president of the PTA. I'm also on the SLT team, and my son is in 11th grade.
Thank you. We have our vice president, Miss Tiffany. Are you on? Okay, she's not on at the moment, unfortunately. We have our recording secretary, Miss Heather Hawley.
Hi, I'm Heather Hawley, the recording secretary. My daughter's a sophomore.
We also have our corresponding secretary, Miss Nica.
Hi, my name is Nica Marcellus. My son is a sophomore this year. Thank you.
And we have our treasurers, Mr. Chris Sandor and Miss Samantha Philbert. You can introduce yourselves.
Chris Sandor, co-treasurer. My son Nick is in the 11th grade.
Excellent. And the same people are also on our SLT team, Mr. Jones and Miss Philbert. And we also have Mrs. Jones and Mrs. Atwood. And for the Title I team at present moment, we have Miss Philbert as well as Miss Jones. And we're looking at next month to be able to go and introduce new Title I team members, and we'll discuss that later on in the meeting. Very quickly, we would like to go and do a reading and approval of the minutes. Heather, if you could just take quick snips of the minutes from last month. And Mr. Sandor, can you please go to slide 5, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so last June, we gave out the recognition awards. Ms. Scott read out the award that we gave to the recipients, and the students picked up their awards and their check. So that was successful. Let's see, we talked about the regents and what was going to happen there. Let's see. We had a couple giveaways that were successful. The treasurer's, Mr. Sandor reported on the treasurer's report with the where we had an ending balance of $2,829.55. There were a couple questions about purchasing school items, which they could still be purchased and could be shipped from the school. And then we talked about the calendar for the fall and the first day of school. And I think that was about it. We ended with a thank you to all parents and administrators and board members, especially the ones that were moving on because their students retired or had to move on for other reasons. Gave them a big thank you, and then the meeting was adjourned.
Excellent. Thank you very much. For anyone that would like to go and view those, anyone that would like to go and view those minutes, you can go to the Abraham Lincoln website and you can find it under the PTA. And also if you want a particular language, for the translations of our PTA minutes, you can go under your particular browser and select language and be able to view your information. I'm sorry, and view the PTA minutes under your language. Next slide. Mr. Hoogenboom, welcome. And you now have the floor.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank everyone for attending this meeting. It's easier to do it on Zoom, but it still is a commitment. So I really appreciate that. Second of all, thank you for that picture of me with Nina. Nina is our school comfort dog. And sometimes when you're upset, you really don't want to talk to a person. But when you can pet a dog, it is just, wonderful, as I hope all students have discovered, and particularly our ninth graders have discovered. I think I should jump right into the incident on Friday, the shooting that occurred at the corner of Neptune Avenue and Ocean Parkway. I know that no one, there's no nice way to spin it. I mean, when there's gunshot, when there are bullets, it's terrifying. And so I don't want to say no big deal. It is a big deal. I want to give you some good news, which is that the suspect, the perpetrator, the shooter, was apprehended. The shooter does not attend Abraham Lincoln High School, and that's a relief on two ends. And the school itself took all the necessary steps, as I'm sure you all know, even the new parents, because you've come from schools, is that we do various drills, and we train everyone in the school for both the possibility of a soft lockdown, a hard lockdown. That's if there is a danger inside the school, and a shelter in, which is if there's a danger outside the school. We did a shelter in because the gunshots were outside. The students had been dismissed, fortunately, long enough before that most of them were away from the vicinity of the school. The students on the field sheltered in the field house, and all the doors were locked. As soon as it happened, we made sure that there's either a dean or a school safety agent at every door. The tragedy down in Texas, you don't know if it would have been averted, but the shooter came in a door that had not latched completely. And so that obviously is incredibly important when you have an incident like this, to make sure every door is truly shut. So the shooting itself, terrifying. The student who was shot is fine. Well, yeah, he's okay. He the next day he did a little video and sent it to his guidance counselor, and he's looking forward to returning to school, and he's in good spirits. Obviously, there's no way to. It's as good as it can be once the horrible thing happens, which is that you are shot. I don't know if it's good news or not, in that in my entire career as principal, and I was just doing the math, it's absolutely appalling. I think almost every student in the school, except some of the seniors, were born after I became principal. So yeah, I've been here for a long time, since fall of 2004 as principal. And this is the first time I recollect, gunshots being fired, so close to the school. So here's hoping that it won't happen for another 18 years, but obviously we have to be prepared. I want to both say, I wanted to notify everyone, and I'm sorry that the letter that went out, obviously it's a letter that legal went all over. And so the letter was not as frank, as blunt, as clear as I think every parent deserves. And that's partially for a good reason. You're trying to get the true facts, and you're worried about rumors and innuendo, but at the same time, it's very frustrating to get a letter saying, there was an incident, your safety is important, everything's good. Whereas you know darn well that because you're getting this special letter, everything is not good. And we're very concerned about the safety and the well-being of students and staff. If I I think there's some questions. I'd certainly like to answer them, but before I answer those questions, I want to say some positive stuff. I think we've had a wonderful opening. If your child has had any programming concerns, I really want to say two things. One is that the more you try to be flexible in your programming at a large school, the more little problems and little dings you're going to have of holes in the program or classes that are oversubscribed. I mean, we have a huge number of what's called over-the-counters, students who have arrived, some of them from places like Ukraine and others who just move in. These programming problems do tend to be taken care of quite quickly. And obviously your students can contact their guidance counselor on Microsoft Teams. And then of course there's the other problem, which is that ninth graders don't know Microsoft Teams from anything. We're a Microsoft school. And I suppose it's a difference between having a Mac or a PC. Microsoft and Google pretty much do the same thing. A few years ago, we went with Microsoft. What we love about Microsoft is the chat feature, that teachers and students, individual students, can correspond on the chat feature. And certainly during the pandemic, it was wonderful because as you parents know, is that most teenagers have a different daily rhythm than adults. I start to get tired at 10 o'clock. Teenagers start to get perky at 10 o'clock. So the chat feature was wonderful because the students would contact the teachers at 3 a.m. and the teachers, when they woke up like normal people, at 8 or so would be able to respond to them. The other problem, as you've all known, those parents who have gotten used to pupil path and have really gotten comfortable with it, because of the data breach last year, the Department of Education freaked out, as only the Department of Education can, and they decided that no more pupil path. And this has really thrown us into a loop. They said, don't worry, we're developing our own program that will be very good. Obviously, you can't develop a good platform immediately. And unfortunately, Mrs. Scott is recording this, so I can't really say what I think, but the Department of Education sometimes moves in mysterious ways. I am sure what they're developing is going to be very good in September 2024. Unfortunately, we're in September 2022. Our teachers are suffering, and you as parents will be suffering. We're not only using the DOE platform, but we're also purchasing an outside platform, Power Schools, which is a nationwide platform. And we hope that that will replace the comfort of Pupil Path. Unfortunately, it's going to take a little while to get started, to get everything up and running. And so please bear with us. And that is one situation where I can quite comfortably blame other people. So we're more than happy to be accountable, but on this one, I want the blame to go directly to the tech department of the DOE Central. I also want to urge all parents to urge your son or daughters to join a club, join a team, and it's available. Sometimes when you're at a large school, it can seem a little bit impersonal, but once you join a club or a team, it really becomes great. Towards that end, at Lincoln, everybody has a somebody, and I'm more than happy to be people's somebody. Come to my office at any time, room 135. If I'm busy, my secretary, Ms. Pravitha Pandey, is always open, always helpful. Similarly, if you have a problem, we prefer that you contact the parent coordinator who can send you in the right direction, but you can always contact me or my office, 718-333-7474. And Ms. Pandey will usually answer the phone, and we will definitely try to answer your problem and take care of what you need to have taken care of. towards that end, if you're from a small school and you're used to talking to the principal all the time, if anyone has to talk with me, something hasn't worked. So ideally, we might very well send you to a counselor, send you to an assistant principal. It's not to brush you off. It's because we want to be efficient for all 2,000 of our students and their families. If there's a problem, though, I am obviously the person who can help you fix it and make things better. So I'm done with my little spiel, and I'm more than happy, but you know, I'm not too good with tech. So is Mrs. Scott or someone going to tell me what questions are up?
Yes, I'm going to read the questions as I see them, just in case some of the questions may have been answered in chat, but as you mentioned, not everyone may be able to look at chat. So what happens if a shooting occurs during school hours? What is the soft lockdown versus a hard lockdown? What precautions do you have in place to protect the students? Before you answer that, I also want you to know that I posted in the chat the Abraham Lincoln High School emergency preparedness for the parents that was shared with us by Mr. O'Connor last year.
Okay, thank you. So a soft lockdown and a hard lockdown are both when there's a problem inside the building. In every classroom in these cases, every classroom is equipped with chart paper. The chart paper goes over the window of the door. The door is locked and the students huddle between the two doors facing where the hallway is. So if, God forbid, some maniac is shooting a gun through the door, it won't hit anyone. And if a maniac is shooting through the walls are really pretty thick. So the idea is to keep people safe. A soft lockdown is when it's not a firearm. If someone's running around with a knife, God forbid, there's no reason why administrators, principal, deans, school safety agents can't run and apprehend the person. So a soft lockdown, you're going to have school personnel very, very diligently running through the building, making sure as soon as we announce a lockdown, teachers are supposed to look in the hall and pull any student in the hall into their classroom. You know, so the hallway should immediately be empty, but members of the building response team, SSAs, deans, school principals, assistant principals will be in the halls to apprehend the bad guy. A hard lockdown is when there's a firearm. And in that case, the current thinking is that everyone, including the SSAs, including the dean, including the principal, are supposed to take cover, are supposed to be in a sheltered area. And the police are supposed to come and secure the building. Now, since the horrific shooting in Texas, there has been a little bit of rethinking about that. You don't want the students and teachers to be sitting ducks, which is kind of what happened in Texas. But at present, if there's a hard lockdown, I'm supposed to be hiding under my desk, and so are all the SSAs and deans and everyone else. And the teachers are not supposed to open their door for anyone, because obviously a lunatic with a gun could easily say, you know, NYPD, open up. So then we have two other things. One is called a shelter in, which is what we did, which is when all the doors are locked because there's a imminent danger outside. Now, even there, we do stick our head out the door and see if there's anyone to yank in, right? And before we slam the door shut. And then there's another thing called a hold, and that is when you're in that is when, let's say there's some incident. Like a few years ago, I remember a student had dislocated his knee in a phys ed class, and the ambulance had just come about it was just before the bell was about to ring. And this student was in agony, and we wanted to get him out of the building to the hospital in the ambulance as soon as possible. And I had to get on the PA system and announce that the bell was not going to be rung for the next period, and that the students were to remain in their classroom. And that was so we could whisk the student out. That's now an official thing that's called a hold, where you just keep the students in their classroom. You don't change the classroom. And that, of course, would also happen if there's a shelter in towards the end of the day, when you certainly don't want to, let's say 7th period, 8th period, 9th period, students are released. They're dismissed for the day. You don't want to shut down. You don't want to say, oh, it's a shelter in, except for, you people are done for the day, so you can leave. So in that case, we would also do a hold. I hope that answers the questions. These are the, we want everyone to be reassured that we are prepared. At the same time, we want people to know that there are a gazillion schools in the United States of America. And as much as these horrible incidents are publicized, they are extremely rare in terms of percentages. So we want everyone to be prepared, but we also know and hope and pray that the chances of it happening at our school are very, very slim.
Thank you very much for your information. The next question may be more of a one-to-one, but I think we can ask the generic question of, are there going to be safety transfers, or are there any safety transfers?
Safety transfers are always available, but they're not available because you feel generically unsafe. So for instance, if someone wants a safety transfer because there was this incident on Friday, that is not what a safety transfer is really all about. A safety transfer would be more about the fact that some student in the lunchroom beat you up, and you're very, very frightened. And I do want to reassure all parents that Lincoln is an extraordinarily safe school. Not only we have scanning, our scanning is done with complete fidelity. We do it very, very seriously. We have deans who are positioned on every floor, SSAs positioned on every floor, and these are regular assignments, so they know the students and the students know them. We have, every school has fights. We have a very small number of fights. So many schools, the incidents went up last year when students came back from the pandemic. At Lincoln, the incidents went down. And partially that is because our deans and our teachers are amazing, but also any disagreement between students, any discipline problem, we always look for the cause. And the cause is often either academic discomfort or some kind of a social discomfort. And we're much less interested in being punitive, and we're much more interested in finding out what the problem was and how we can fix it. That's why we have social workers in the dean's office. That's why we do mediations all the time. So if you are, because of this incident on Friday, which is over a block away from the school, if you are concerned about that in terms of your child's safety, I would urge you to reconsider, because we are a safe environment and we really, really take care of our students' welfare. That's the cornerstone of what we believe in as a school.
Thank you. Moving on to some other questions. With MS Teams, am I accurate to state that parents aren't able to log in on their own like we do with Pupil Path or with other locations, that it's only the students that have access to Teams at this time?
Mr. Capizzo, Mr. Robinson, someone going to help me out here? I have a question I don't know the answer to.
Yes, Microsoft is still, hi everybody. My name is David Robinson. I'm the assistant principal of guidance. Just to answer that question, Microsoft Teams is still working on their Parent Connect platform. They don't have it ready to roll out yet.
it's just like with COVID. It's forthcoming, right? Everything is forthcoming.
Yes.
I love that wording. Okay, the other questions we're gonna have to collect towards the end. A lot of them really are for Mr. Robinson, Mr. Capizzo, and Ms. Jebril. So I'll run through those at the end of the meeting. But other than that, does anyone have any questions that they like to present to Mr. Hoogenboom? Now you can do so verbally. I'll open the floor for approximately 5 minutes for questions for him.
Yes, hi, good afternoon. I have a question about the regents. I saw that I think the school was trying to challenge some of the scores or something. What's the outcome of that?
That's a little bit like trying to make sure the sun doesn't come up. It's we were very disappointed in some of the social studies scores, and in particular, you hear rumors, you hear innuendo about the different grading sites, and we're bothered by the fact that at the different grading sites, it seems the attitudes of the graders, of the supervisors are different. Having said that, it's tilting at windmills. It's if your child failed the regents, there are ways that we are able to get certain students regents credit, but the grading is a little bit of a it is frustrating. I was just having a conversation with the assistant principal of social studies, Mr. Fanning, about our frustration, about how he's going to be stressing writing much more this year because of the poor grades on the social studies regents. But at the same time, he thought the students were writing quite well. So sometimes we're in the fog with things.
Okay, there doesn't seem to be any more questions, Mr. Hoogenboom.
I just,
Go ahead.
just piggyback off of what Principal Hoogenboom was saying, we are putting waivers on for students who got a 50 between a 50 and a 64 on the regents. So if they didn't pass the regents, but they scored over a 50, then we are putting waivers on the transcripts, and the waivers count as a WA, and they're not factored in with like a grade average, so they could count for any kind of diploma, whether it be advanced or regents or local.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson.
They would not have to repeat that regent.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Unless you want to punish them, then you can send them and make them sit for 3 hours.
Remember, we're recording, Mr. Hoogenboom.
Yeah, go back, erase that, please.
So I heard someone had a question, sorry.
Yes, hi, good afternoon. My question is about the different diplomas. I just heard there's a regent, there's an advanced and a local. Can you explain that?
I can't, but Mr. Robinson can.
Sure. So advanced regents diploma means they've passed a certain criteria. It's 7 regents tests and some other criteria as far as what courses they're taking, some advanced level courses. So all students can be on the advanced regents track, but it's very few students who end up graduating with an advanced regents diploma. It's usually about 50 to 60 students with advanced regents diploma. And a regents diploma means they passed 5 regents and the standard 44 credits, including the requirements in the different content areas and phys ed and electives. And then the local diploma is for special circumstances, It could include a student who isn't able to pass a couple of regions, but they did well enough on some other regions. So they still earned a diploma. It's just what's called a local diploma. Local diplomas are usually kind of designated for 2-year schools, whereas Regents and Advanced Regents diplomas are both designated for 4-year schools. And there's not too much difference between a 4-year school looking at a Advanced Regents diploma and a Regents diploma. It's not really something that we've experienced dealing with sending students to college that is really the difference maker as far as just to ease your concerns. Any student that gets a Regents diploma, that's a very good diploma, and all 4-year schools, all Ivy League to a 2-year school would accept a Regents diploma, and Advanced Regents diploma just means that they've taken some advanced level classes.
Thank you.
We're
At
gonna
this point,
allow for one more question, Mr. Hoogenboom, and then I'll have to let you go because we're running into the next meeting, the next speaker. Miss Gwaine has her hand up, and I don't want to miss out on her question. Or Mr. Gwaine, you have your hand up? Hold on. Okay, perhaps their mic is not available at the moment. If they're able to come back on, I'll have the team speak, answer their question on your behalf, Mr. Hoogenboom. Everyone's questions is very important, but I believe these questions can be answered by the team at the end. So, Mr. Hoogenboom, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. If you have nothing further to provide, have an excellent evening, and I'll definitely catch you next week, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. And I want to remind everyone that my email is there on that slide. And that was when the Department of Education was trying to not use too many spaces in their emails. So it's just the 6 letters of my last name. But please don't hesitate to email me. And once again, thank you so much. This is going to be a really exciting school year. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next guest speaker is going to be Mr. Angel Cruz. Thank you. I apologize for the delay. If you could please pop on and speak. We have your slides available.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much for inviting me to this PTA. I'm very happy that a lot of families have the opportunity to participate in this meeting. And I just want to quickly say that we're happy for this next school year. We're very excited to start strong with everyone. So I just wanted to quickly introduce myself. I'm the program coordinator. I'm pretty much wear a lot of hats in the health center, but one of my responsibilities is to do community engagement and the outreach for our health center. And that includes attending PTA meetings, meeting with the school staff, meeting with families. If you have any questions regarding the health center or the enrollment forms, feel free to reach out to the health center and they'll be more than happy to connect you with me. And we're gonna start with our first slide. So here at the Abraham Lincoln High School, we have a school health program that is sponsored by NYU Langone, and we provide medical and mental health services regardless of your insurance or citizenship status or the ability to pay. So we care for children whenever they are in school or whenever they feel sick. We also provide some comprehensive medical care. So that includes anything from a physical to immunizations. Perhaps your child is very interested in joining some of the sports teams at the school. They can receive their sports physical here in the clinic without even leaving the school. And the pretty cool thing about school-based health centers is that they're generally located in very easy to access places within the school. So your child does not have to leave school in order to use any of the services, which I will elaborate on a little bit further. I'd also like to point out that there is no copay or out-of-pocket cost for you. So what that means is when you usually go to a health center or to an urgent care like City MD, you sometimes get charged a copay of like $20 or $40. So when your child comes over to the health center, you are not charged any copay. So you don't have to pay $20 regardless of it's for a Band-Aid, a first aid visit, or a full physical. So it's a very cool thing to have here at the health center, very especially for students who are interested in joining sports teams, or if they're interested in working or pursuing any kind of internship or extracurricular activity. They're going to probably need like a physical or the most up-to-date immunizations, and we're more than happy to provide them. And we are open Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 3:30 p.m. So that's usually whenever the students are in school. We'll also be available for them. Next slide, please. So here are some of the medical services that we have. As I mentioned, we have physicals for work and sports. So whenever students, you'll probably see this around the time the tryouts are happening. Students are gonna tell you like, "Hey, mom, I need a physical. Try this tomorrow, and I can't play without that physical." So they'll probably tell you that last minute. Usually, when you try to contact your school or your private physician or your family doctor, they might tell you that the appointment available will be probably next month or the following month. So sometimes you need to expedite that a little bit. We'll be more than happy to work with you and to make sure your child doesn't miss out on these wonderful opportunities. We also have a lot of great prescriptions and refill management services. So if your child does have any kind of like chronic conditions such as asthma or diabetes, we help the student stay healthy. Sometimes if your child requires us to hold medication for them, we will have that at the health center. And we will be able to administer the medication whenever they need it. Sometimes students need an asthma pump before gym or before after school, before lunch. We're more than happy to help them out. We also have mental health services. So generally, the school has very great counseling services, but if students require short-term or long-term therapy sessions, we have that available, and that is also at the school. So your child does not have to leave the school for any of these services. Next slide, please. So here we have a few pictures. I know we're doing things virtually. Hopefully, maybe the next time we have a parent-teacher conference or an open house, you'll be able to stop by and check out the health center yourself. And over here on the left, we have our waiting room. As you can see, there's a lot of space for students to come in, and we also follow the NYU Langone COVID-19 guidelines. So when students come into the health center, they'll be asked to wear masks just because we don't know if the students coming in sick with COVID or sick with the flu. We just want to make sure that everyone's healthy. And don't worry, I know some students might not have their mask. We provide masks at the front desk as well. So if students have to visit the health center, they'll be asked to wear a mask and they'll be provided one if they don't have one. To the right is the one of our mental health rooms. So students can have one-on-one conversation with their guidance counselors, speak about anything that might be stressing them out. I know high school can be a very stressful period of time for students. The transition might be a little tough. You know, we're still kind of working through COVID. They might have anxiety about that, and we're more than happy to help your child adjust to high school and make sure that they stay healthy so that they can, succeed in their academic careers. So here we have one of our laboratories that's also located in the school within that same facility. As you can see, we have a lot of equipment there, so we can do medical laboratories. We have our vaccines, and we make sure that these vaccines are kept in a safe and secure environment. We also have pretty much any kind of equipment that your regular doctor has. So if you need like to run a test for generally anything that you could need for, we'll have that available. Your child doesn't have to leave. We do our very best to make sure that all of our facilities and all of our equipment is up to date, and that we make sure that every time a child visits an exam room, that we clean afterwards. We wipe the doorknobs off. We wipe the chairs. We switch out the paper drapes, whatever it could be. We make sure to make the room as clean as possible. Next one. And so in order to use these services, we ask parents and families to register them to the health center using one of the online consent forms or one of the paper forms that you can pick up at the school or at the health center. And these enrollment forms are available in various languages. If we don't have one, I'll do my best to find that language and make sure the school has it for you. We generally ask parents to consent and to use these forms so that we can have their most up-to-date information. Oftentimes, we might get a child who feels sick or they might be going through like allergies. We can't really administer any medication and it can't really be seen by our provider if we don't have your permission first. And we'll always do our best to try to get that, probably through a phone call. But we all know that it could be like the middle of the day, you could be busy, you could be at work, you might not be able to answer. So we want to encourage parents to fill out the form as soon as possible. That way, if your child does happen to feel sick and makes their way to the health center, we'll be able to seamlessly transition them into care so that they can go right back to class. So one important thing that I'd like to highlight is that if you consent to the health center, it does not change your insurance at all, and it does not change your primary care physician. So that's one of the biggest concerns that a lot of families have is, if I register my child here, will they be able to see their family doctor? Will they be able to see their pediatrician? And I just want to assure families that you will be able to. If you have a family doctor, if you have a pediatrician or private doctor, you're more than welcome to keep on using them and treat us kind of like a secondary option as a backup for when they're in school or if they need any kind of forms or any kind of vaccinations and the primary care physician doesn't have them or doesn't have an appointment, they can always come to us and vice versa. We also take any kind of insurance from Medicaid to private insurance. And if you don't have insurance, we'll also cover the bill for your visits. And we'll actually try our best to connect you to resources so that, you can get insurance and the rest of the family can also get insurance. And this QR code, if you actually scan it, take a picture of it for later, will take you to a website that has more information about our program, as well as all the online consent forms that I mentioned so that you can sign your child up. You can fill it out electronically and I'll actually receive an email and I'll send it back to the team so that they can process the form, register your child, and make sure that they have access to all the services. So I noticed that there are a few questions on the chat. I'm going to try my best to answer as many as I can.
The two that I saw right off, Mr. Cruz, that seem to pertain to you is physicals for working papers, and do you offer PPD testing?
Yes, so the physical for working papers, you can also receive that here at the health center. Typically, the guidance counselors work with the students at the school. They'll give them all the forms that they need for SYEP, for internships, for any program that requires them to fill out the physical. They'll bring that form over to us and we'll fill it out for them. Now, oftentimes we do advise students and families that if you already had a physical within the year, to follow up with your pediatrician or the primary care physician so that they can fill this paper out more accurately. Now, let's say your child hasn't had a physical in 2 years. We'll do a physical with them and we'll fill out the papers. But we just always kind of want to make sure that you don't have 2 physicals within the year because that could get a little tricky with your insurance. So if your child has expressed interest in getting a physical for working papers or for sports, just follow up with your own pediatrician. Just make sure that it's been more than a year, and they'll be more than welcome at our health center so that we can kind of expedite that process. Do we do PPD testing? I believe we do PPD testing. It is on an appointment you have to request that by appointment. So once your child is registered to the health center, you can call directly to the school. They'll transfer you over to the school-based health center, and you can request an appointment with our front desk staff, or you can actually let your child know, like, hey, when you get a chance, just go to the health center and request an appointment for PPD testing or for your vaccines. And they can come downstairs, see the health center for themselves, familiarize themselves with the staff. That way, they'll know where to go for their appointments.
How can parents or students request their medical records for college?
So for college, like I said, if you have done a physical at our health center, we can make an appointment. We can give you a copy of the physical that you might need for college or for the sports internships or for work. Or if you need a new physical, we can definitely do that at the health center. We'll probably print out a copy of it, or we'll probably encourage you to sign up to MyChart, which is kind of like an online platform for you to access your physicals, your vaccines. And we just kind of encourage parents to do that so that you can have access to that whenever you might need that information. Or let's say if it's like the middle of the night and you're like, oh, I don't know if my child has all their vaccinations. Let me just check the MyChart. It's a quick and easy way for you to do that. But if you need the paper copy, we're more than happy to print it out and send it with your child.
All right, and one last question that I see, is the medical office only for students?
Yes, unfortunately, it's only for the students of Abraham Lincoln. I believe that creates kind of like a more safe and welcoming environment for the students, and kind of like puts parents at ease knowing that this health center is just for the students, that we're not going to get people from outside of Abraham Lincoln coming downstairs to the health center, to the school. So our goal is to make sure that all students on campus stay healthy, and that is why we only primarily focus on students of Abraham Lincoln.
Excellent. All other questions that I see are mainly for the school itself. I know that you're heading to another meeting, so if there's any other questions that pop up for you, I will definitely forward them on. I thank you for your time, and I apologize that it was such a small segment, but I greatly appreciate
it's all right.
I greatly appreciate it.
No, thank you for the time. I really appreciate it. And I hope parents sign up to the health center. And if you have any questions, even if it's something that we covered, maybe you want me to speak to you one-on-one, feel free to reach out to Ms. Scott, and she'll definitely give you my contact information, email, phone number, anything that you need. I'm here for you. I also speak Spanish, so if you have families who speak Spanish only, I'm more than happy to walk them through the information and how to sign up.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Have a very good night.
Thank you.
And
You too.
with that, we're going to move on to the next slide. Take care.
Take care, everyone.
Teachers Corner, which is always my favorite. Mr. Capizzo and your amazing team of teachers, would you like to go and take the floor? Perhaps maybe you want to answer some questions that I see have popped up, such as absences, morning announcements, the school store, graduation, Lincoln clubs, DOE laptops. Have at it, sir.
Woohoo. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Mr. Capizzo. I am, I guess we call it the somebody for the PTA. I am here to answer any questions, share any announcements that I have right now, and give you guys any heads up. So, of course, we are into the second week of school. I don't know about you, but it's been a very slow week, to say the least. It definitely feels like we need to get back into the swing of things. But just a quick little heads up on a couple of things going on right now at Lincoln that you know, that if you don't know. First off, next Saturday, we have our varsity home opener for the football team. We're facing Curtis. It'll be at 7 o'clock at night. Also, if you are interested, Lincoln is going to be on the road for one of their scrimmage games at Rutgers University this upcoming Sunday. So nice. It's It's not a PSAL game. Okay, the first one will be this coming Saturday, next Saturday. But you know, there are tickets where you can get them, so you can go to it. So nice little show up. So a couple things coming up so everyone knows, and I'll try to walk everyone through it. So there are 3 marking periods in a semester. We are a 2-semester school. The fall semester is from September to the end of January, and the spring semester is from February into June. Okay. There are 3 marking periods. Every marking period is approximately 6 to 7 weeks, depending upon the time. So the first marking period will officially end on October 21st, which is the day after our next PTA meeting on October 20th. Just to, you know, if anyone wants to come back and see us again. To give everyone a quick heads up about the, as you know, with the grades right now, okay, we are into the new program. We're no longer doing pupil path. The program we are doing should be rolled out to for students and parents to see all this by November. Again, as Mr. Hoogenboom said earlier in the meeting, we're waiting for that whole thing to be rolled out so everyone can see. On our website, we have information where parents can email the teacher for any questions that they have about their child's grades right now. We also have access to call you guys through the STARS program. So that's what's going on with that at this point. For laptops, if there are any parents that need you know, laptops for their child or tablets, what we did this week is every 9th grader was signed up for Teams. Okay, and what we're going to do is through Teams, we're going to make an announcement to fill out a form requesting a device. The first thing we need to know is if you have a device from your other school. If you have a device from your other school, then you're not going to get a device from us, okay? So we need to know that you don't have one, okay? So just want to give everyone that quick heads up. As far as clubs, next week, we're going to be having the advisors meet, and we're going to be officially going into our clubs. Our clubs are going to be posted all around the school. We have specific times for students to join those clubs. And we have everything from guitar club, we have anime club, we have so many different clubs, and we always recommend for students to join them. They are a great little thing. As far as I heard someone mention morning announcements. So usually morning announcements, we do morning announcements around 3rd to 4th period every day. Okay, usually we do it on Tuesdays and Thursdays about any announcements for the week and all that kind of stuff. So 3rd period is perfectly fine. That's when we usually do it. It's between 3rd and 4th period is when we make those announcements. And the school store is open in the cafeteria. If anyone needs gym clothes or any specific items like that, it is downstairs in the cafeteria. The best time to get it would be Fridays, because it's like usually every Friday it's definitely 100% open. During the week, it's like certain days. I think it's like 3 days a week. So definitely Fridays would be a perfect time for you to head down to the store, pick up any gym clothes. Thank you, Mr. Molina, for doing the faculty and staff emails. Okay, so if anyone needs to reach out to any faculty or staff, please go directly right there. Okay, we respond to emails, trust me. And did I miss anything, Miss Scott? Was there anything else? Because there was a lot. Okay, do kids
you
have
took on one thing, just real quick.
Mhm.
There is a question about sports.
Yes.
Are vaccinations still going to be required this year, or is that an unknown factor at this time?
I believe from what I understand, that is still on the table. That is still something that is a requirement right now. That hasn't been removed at this time. From my understanding, that hasn't changed yet.
That's correct.
That's correct, Mr. Robinson?
I can confirm what you're saying. They still need the vaccines to play PSAL.
Okay, it's not an Abraham Lincoln requirement. It's a PSAL requirement in order to play.
Correct. And the city has talked about changing that, but they haven't changed it yet.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
and the physical forms, I just see a couple questions about it. I'm going to answer both of those now. Physical forms should be given to the coaches directly. Okay, the coaches will take care of doing the physical forms. And kids do need a gym uniform. That is correct. Okay, that is one of the things that we have here. So, yes, there is no dress code for school, except, you know, well, I mean, you're not going to come in being dressed very inappropriately, okay? Miss Scott, thank you for putting that there, but there is no dress, there is no like uniform or any of that stuff for school.
Now, you mentioned inappropriately. Is there a location for parents that they can go and look up a listing of what is okay to be worn, not okay to be worn? Is there certain profanity that is allowed, not allowed? Is there certain words, you know, the American flag, etc.? Where can parents find that, where they know that, you know, you shouldn't be wearing that, or you shouldn't bring those items to school, etc.?
So as far as items to school, there is, before they come into scanning, there is a list outside of what they allow and don't allow through scanning. So any sort of that stuff would be there. As far as dress code, Mr. Robinson, can you take that on for a second?
Sure, we don't have a dress code, so I can't give you any official guidance on it because we don't have a dress code, but basically this school is a educational setting, so the only reason why any student would be stopped for what they're wearing is if it disrupts the educational setting. So like things on guns on shirts, we don't like that. If it's, I guess if it's too skimpy of an outfit maybe for a student to be wearing that's disrupting the whole school, that might be a conversation. But being that we're an educational institution, that's really what we want our students to come in and focus on.
I'm seeing a lot of people.
Mr. Capizzo, if you can take maybe 3 more minutes on these questions, and then we'll have to move on and we'll leave it towards the end.
That's fine.
If that's okay, so go ahead.
Yeah. So the gym uniforms, yes, they're in the school store. There's usually a bundle where they can buy everything for a price. I don't know the price, I'm sad to say.
It's $50.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Lockers. So there are lockers then in the locker room where they can interchange in and out of them. But we don't have lockers on site. So that's how you have to probably bring the uniform with you in order to do that because we are a school. I see someone mentioned what's the report time for 9th grade. If you have any questions about like the uniform stuff, the best thing that I would say is have your student or child, have your child talk directly to their gym teacher and ask them specifically about the uniform stuff, like if it's the certain type of what do you call it? Like uniform, is it allowed? Is it acceptable? Okay, I would 100% throw that right there because they have more say than I do right now. The report time for 9th grade, if anyone needs to know. So we have 2 sessions that go on at our school. We are a 1 to 8 or a 2 to 9. So 1 to 8 means that some students are 1 to 9, but traditionally what it is that whatever their schedule says, depending upon the number next to the class, is the start time. So if you're a 1 to 8, that means you start at 7:48 and you end at 2:35. If you're a 2 to 9, that means you start at 8:41 and you end at 3:28. We've also attached in the chat our bell schedule so everyone knows. So depending, your child has at home their schedule, okay? You can ask them for it. Ms. Porter, it could be that they're missing, there may be a hole in the schedule. What I would say is if you can email the guidance counselor, which would be Mr. Vega, it would be Brian Vega, to try to see about adding another period, because every child should have a one, at least 1 to 8 or a 2 to 9. Okay, so if they're missing, there's a section missing, like, oh, I'm missing like a 2 or something like that, definitely get that filled. We want them to get as much credits as possible. Are there any senior events occurring in the first 2 months? Will there be a FAFSA event this year? FAFSA, yes, FAFSA will be coming. As far as senior events, let me check the calendar real quickly of any senior events. I have a college fair coming up on October 13th from 12 to 2 p.m. That'll be done in the cafeteria. I'm just going to look through for you, Miss Scott, because you know I love you so much. Let me just say anything with senior.
Is it okay if I chime in really quick?
Yeah, sure. Hey, Mr. Molina.
Hi.
Please,
Hi,
I was
everyone.
hoping he would chime in. Yes.
Okay, so my name is Mr. Molina. I'm the senior advisor for Lincoln High School. Thank you for having me. So we are currently working on a senior calendar for the school, and that will be released shortly. I most likely will post that on the website. There's actually a senior activities page on the website that I will post in just a second. So if you actually go to the website, alhs.nyc, and you go to the top there where it says students, if you just scroll down to senior activities, unfortunately, we're still not able to share the information on Teams with parents. They would have to borrow their students and the child's information to access that stuff. So what I'm trying to do is any essential information that needs to be posted on Teams will also go to the website as well. So for now, the most important information is that senior dues is available. I'm going to just basically cut and paste what is included in senior dues. And the price is currently $150. If a student demonstrates financial need, they would have to fill out a form and they can get reduced or waived dues if that amount is not feasible for the student for whatever reason. Okay, if there are any questions, please let me know in the chat. Thank you.
And thank you for answering those questions in the chat. I appreciate that. All right. There are a bunch of other questions, but I'm going to hold those to our end of the Q&A. So this way we can just finish up our meeting. So I appreciate that. Moving on to the next slide. Thank you, gentlemen. As for my message, I really don't have any messages at the moment. Everything seems to be running smoothly. I will say, being with the school, this will be my 4th year. My son is a senior this year, shockingly, and I'm very happy about it. I have to say I have found the school to be very safe. The communication has definitely gotten better from 4 years ago. And I have to go and thank the current staff that's there, as well as the PTA, because as we get information, we make sure and validate with the school before we share it. Not only do we have the parents have a PTA Facebook page, and I know and understand that Mr. Molina, and let me know if I'm accurate, you also hold the Instagram page for the school?
That is still correct.
Excellent. So between the both of us, we try to provide all the information that is accurate with the school, and we try very not to post any gossiping information. All right, with that being said, we're going to move on to the next slide. The Treasury Report, all yours, Mr. Sandor. You have 2 slides on this one.
Yes, I do. Yes.
Thank you.
So hey, everyone. So again, I'm Chris Sandor, one of the co-treasurers for this year. I was also co-treasurer last year. So the document that you're looking at now is our annual PTA financial report. It is, of course, a required document required by the DOE. And it summarizes all the things that we did last year, including how much money we raised and what we used it for and how much money we have now, in the interest of transparency. So I will just quickly sort of zip through, like, here's what we did and kind of here's some high level. And then we'll talk a little bit about where we are and where our financials are as we start the next, start the school year. So we started with a balance of a little over $1,000. We wound up with membership dues. We earned money from interest income. We did some fundraising. Those of you who were participating in the PTA meetings last year know we actually ran a very, very successful vaccine referral bonus. Unexpectedly, we received almost $1,300 from that program, which was really wonderful. Now, we don't raise money to just sit around and do nothing. Those funds are also earmarked for student activities. We've done a number of things, including graduating student awards. We've done orientation events. We've contributed to a student food pantry. We've worked very closely with Mr. Robinson and the attendance committee. We've also done recognition awards. We've done teacher awards, and we've done lots of other things. With support from parents and from the fundraising, we are looking to do even more in this current school year. I don't recall if there's a link for Cheddar Up, but before I even talk about, you see that there are some membership dues and there's a link in there for fundraising. We do, of course, it'd be remiss of me as co-treasurer to not put in a plug for PTA contributions. Always accepted, always grateful. We do have an online platform. It's called Cheddar Up. I will see if I can locate it in the and post it to the chat, unless someone else beats me to it. But as of last year, we actually did raise a bit of money. We actually wound up with a positive balance, and our balance at the end of last school year was $2,229.47. We did have about $1,700 in expenses. Again, that is what part of what the PTA is there to do. And so we are looking to work and partner with the school community, parents, teachers, faculty, staff, administration, for suggestions, ideas, and things that we can do to benefit the entire Lincoln community. Any questions on the annual financial report from last year?
Someone asked for an elaboration to elaborate more on the vaccine bonus that we had.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So New York City ran a vaccine referral bonus program during the coronavirus. It was for people who had received just the first time vaccine. So it was meant to leverage community organizations to refer people to get the first time vaccine. So if you got your vaccine for the first time at a city-run site, the person receiving the vaccine not only got the vaccine itself, but $100. The referring organization also got $100 as well. So the idea being that community organizations would help get people to be vaccinated, and that would support public health. So this was a program that many, many other organizations, not just PTAs or schools, but churches and other groups participated in as well last year. And we participated in it, and we successfully referred with outreach for 13 people who had not gotten the vaccine, and we received $100 per times 13 is $1,300.
You can move on to the next
Okay.
slide.
All right, sounds good. Okay, so here we are. So this is so every month we have obviously, of course, have a treasurer's report. The first treasurer's report of the year includes both July and August. So we started off with a balance of a little over $2,204. I mentioned just in the previous slide, we did have student recognition awards. Not to be nitpicky, but one of the checks was cashed in July. Otherwise, it would have been reflected in June, the June treasurer's report. But it's reflected in the July report. The bank, the credit union that we use, gave us a dividend of 88 cents. So that's all well and good. And our ending balance from August and our starting balance in September, $2,180.35, all of which is available for use. So I will say also too, I can't see the chat, but I will definitely see if I can find the link for Cheddar Up as well. Cheddar Up, as I mentioned just a moment ago, is our fundraising portal. We've since we moved to remote during COVID, and we have not had an in-person meeting. Our fundraising has also gone high tech as well. So Cheddar Up is a service that we use that parents, faculty, staff, anyone who wants to can contribute to the PTA, either in a particular amount or smaller amounts. Again, we're grateful for any and all assistance. And look for a link to Cheddar Up in the chat. Questions on what we did over the summer, Cheddar Up, our annual financials. We'll talk about fundraising in a minute as well. But anything treasurers related? Happy to answer any and all questions. I can't see the chat.
No questions at the moment, so we're going to move on, but I'll monitor the chat to see if there's anything towards the end.
Outstanding.
Thank you. Moving on to the next slide. Secretary report. Do we have anything to update?
No, I just at the beginning of the year trying to get everybody's new information in the database. But yeah, if you have any questions, you can contact the PTA email account and we can certainly help get your question to the correct person, which is usually Ms. Jebril, the parent coordinator, but we're there happy to help.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Committee reports. A couple of months back, we put together a fundraiser. We actually had two committees. We had the bylaws committee, which did an amazing job on getting our bylaws updated and finalized by June. Because the A660 that the Chancellor report had out was updated back in November of 2021. So we had a certain amount of time to update our own bylaws to reflect the Chancellor's A660, which the team did an amazing job. Thank you very much for all those that were on. And now we also created a fundraising committee. They spent a good portion of the end of the school year of putting together some ideas. We kind of took a halt over the summer. We threw some other ideas together, and I don't know if the fundraising committee is on at the moment that would like to discuss those ideas, or you want to wait until next month.
I think wait till next month when we have time to meet.
No, that is fine. Thank you so much, Ms. Meadows. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
that. We'll talk more in the next week or two, so this way we're prepared for next month. Thank you so much.
I will say last year we did a few fundraisers, one with World's Finest Chocolate. I did buy a lot of chocolate myself and tried to avoid eating all of it myself. I was unsuccessful, but we are looking for ideas. Anyone who wants to volunteer, come up with ideas for the fundraising committee, we would be grateful for any and all assistance, and not just buying chocolate.
Thank you so much. Did someone have a question? I apologize. All right. Moving on, before we go on to the next slide, I just want to say if there's any other committees that you guys are thinking of, would like to go and partake in, please, by all means, email us, call us, let us know any ideas that you would like. We love the support. We're We're a very small group of 6 people putting the PTA together, plus our little committees. So any support would greatly be appreciated. Thank you. Moving on. All right, we got some school details and informational support teams. Going on to the next slide. Whoops. Can you go back one?
Sure, of course.
Yep, there we go. Okay, so this right here is a slide for the parent engagement, FAQ, and contacts. This can be found under the Abraham Lincoln High School Parent Resources page. I also know that Ms. Molina further down had posted the staff information of emails and phone numbers. We'll make sure that's posted on the Facebook page as well as posted in the minutes when they go up later on in the later on next week. Sorry. All right, next slide. Oh, just go back one. I apologize. I have to highly emphasize, if starting with the teachers first, if you have any issues, please get directly with those teachers. If for some reason you're unable to get a response or you don't like the response, I personally will then move on to the guidance counselor. Very rarely will I have to go past the guidance counselor. If I have to go past that to the guidance counselor, I then move on either to the administrative heads, of course, Mr. Robinson and Ms. Jebril. If that still doesn't solve anything, the last person I will bother is Mr. Hoogenboom. And he does definitely have an open door policy, but his first question is going to be, did you ask so-and-so? So try to go through that and give them time. At least give them 48 hours, 72 hours to respond, 2 days, 3 days, because they too are very busy. And I try to give them some time, unless it's really, really urgent and earth shattering, then yes, move on to the next group. But if it can hold out just a little bit, please give them time, especially if it's a holiday or a weekend, because I can assure you they're taking that time off as well. Okay, moving on to the next slide.
I'm so sorry. Can I just mention something really quick related to that?
Yes, please.
So what I like what the guidance counselors do is if you want all of the teachers to know what's happening with the student's ill, is not going to be in for the next couple of days. If you contact the guidance counselor will loop in everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So that just makes it easier. Instead of writing like 5 or 6 different emails, go through the guidance counselor first and they will reach out to everyone.
I've heard 1 or 2 things that maybe a guidance counselor may have slipped up here and there, but me personally, I have a phenomenal team, starting with the guidance counselor. So I'm always raving about them, and they're really quick on response. Very rarely will I get anything back that something hasn't happened. I'll hold tight on that transitional counselor information. We'll have somebody answer you on that one. All right, moving on to the DOE school calendar. So somebody asked the question about whether or not the DOE school calendar matches up with the actual Abraham Lincoln school calendar. It does on the days off, and it does when it comes to the PTA for the parent teachers conferences. What's different with the Abraham Lincoln High School page is it will then add in any events that's happening with the school. And I believe that is still being updated. At the time that I pulled the slides, there wasn't anything on the school calendar. I think that has since changed. And they are constantly updating it for the next month, the next couple of weeks. Mr. Robinson, do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, I just wanted to say the parent-teacher conferences, it lists 2 parent-teacher conferences. If I can find out, is this the up-to-date school calendar that's being shown on this slide?
This is the school calendar that I pulled from the DOE website for 2022, 2023.
Okay, so you'll see there's 2 different parent-teacher conferences, one on September 29th and one on November 17th. So Lincoln is going to do their parent-teacher conference on November 17th because we're a two-session school. That's something Mr. Capizzo talked about, where start session 1 is 1 to 8, and session 2 is 2 to 9. We don't have the first parent-teacher conference, and that's by contract. So the 29th, we don't have parent-teacher conferences. The November 17th will be our first parent-teacher conference.
You said November 17th. Do we know if it'll be virtual or in person?
It'll be virtual. Based on the contract, it will be virtual, but any parent who wants a in-person parent-teacher conference, we'll make accommodations for.
Okay, well, thank you for not saying the answer is forthcoming. Hello there, little Mr. Robinson. All right. If there's no further questions, I'm going to move on. Ms. Duncan, I see your information. Give me a moment. Okay, new business. The only new business I have, go to the next slide, please, is that we're looking to have the Title I committee election in October. So very briefly, the Title I, sorry, it's easier if I read from here. Title I tries to, that should have been updated. My apologies. So Title I is a federally educated funded program. The program provides sentimental funds to school districts to assist schools with the highest student concentrations of poverty to meet school education and goals. Thankfully, Abraham Lincoln High School is a Title I school, and it receives the federal funds for Title I students. So what we do is, and this is in collaboration with Ms. Jebril, who has done a phenomenal job on putting together and working with our Title I committee on getting some programs together every month. One such program we had back in April, which had to do with social emotional learning at Lincoln. And she brings in certain people, this was just one of them, for about 30 minutes to an hour, where they'll go and either have a Q&A section, or they'll have, I think we did a trivia night one time. Another time we had somebody was teaching us how to cook a certain meal. They should be having, once we have this election, we'll then go and put together a questionnaire to see what details of information that you would like, maybe a financial literacy program you would like to bring on, another social emotional awareness, or a trivia night, and the team along with Ms. Jebril will put that information together. We'll have more information on the Title I election in the next week or two, so that you can be prepared to be able to either put forth your information to be part of the committee, specifically the chair head, as well as a chair assistant. If there's no questions on that, I'm going to move on to the next slide. Okay, we're pretty much coming to a quick close. These are our meetings for the year. Please note, because we don't have the full details of the school calendar, come December on, we may have to adjust our dates. We try very hard not to, but if there is a major school event, such as a school play, or maybe in May and June, we find out there's an evening graduation or a prom, we'll then have to go and try to adjust fire on being able to have our meeting at another date. But as of right now, these are pretty much what our meetings will be. And until further notice, they will all be virtual. All right. With that said, we are now going to have Q&As. Very quickly, some additional helpful websites. We have the Abraham Lincoln High School portal, which has some great information as to what teachers you can speak to. We have PTA minutes. We have the Abraham Lincoln High School calendar. We have senior activity information on there. Pretty much anything and everything. They have done a phenomenal job, Abraham Lincoln, on trying to get the portal pretty much at 98% up to date. It still is in draft form. Certain areas have not been updated, but it's pretty good at where it is right now. School gym uniform, you can either go online through the Abraham Lincoln Portal website, or you can go directly to the school. The school's account, My Students at NYC, you're able to go and pull your child's information of pretty much their entire school year. Related sites for health screening, vaccination, supplement, attendance form. I don't think we're using that this year. I didn't quite get details if those are still required for the school, Mr. Robinson.
I'm sorry, say again,
The health screening, the vaccination for COVID. We don't need to worry about that anymore, correct?
Vaccination is still required for visitors, but there is no more health screening.
Excellent. We have the Instagram web portal at Abraham Lincoln High School. I'm sorry, ALHSBKLYN. My apologies. And then we also have our Facebook page. I'm going to go and start off with some quick questions that I was able to see. How do parents pay for senior dues? Is there a lunch period requirement? And some ninth grade students are not starting until third period. Is that an issue? Can you guys answer those questions? And I'm sure there's a lot more questions that are going to pop up.
I'll start with the ninth grade starting third period. Yeah, that shouldn't be happening. If you could send your child to my office room 129, I'll take a look at their program and I'll pass it off to Mr. Molina about.
So I mentioned in the chat that students can pay for senior dues one of two ways. They can drop off money to me in the school during their free period. If I'm free, I'll take the money. They get a receipt immediately. I ask that they photograph the receipt, so in case they lose the hard copy, they'll have the copy on their phone. And in the school store, if you go to alhs.nyc, if you scroll all the way down, the school store link will be there. I will put it in the chat. I stepped away from the website for a second. Students can pay online, but I recommend they do it in person because if you do it online, it charges you an additional fee.
What were the other questions? There was three, right?
Yeah, the other one is lunch period a requirement? I guess, are they required? Can they add in another class? Can it be a free time?
So lunch is required, but if a student requires a change or specifics, then they need to talk to their counselor and we'll figure it out at an individual basis.
Okay. Someone asked again about whether or not vaccinations are required to join sports. Unfortunately, yes, and that is a PSAL requirement. You are still required in order to attend any, in order to play any sports with PSAL, you need to be vaccinated.
Sorry, can I just add to that vaccination?
Yes, please.
It's really high impact sports. So I was able to find those sports. It's football and volleyball for the fall, and it's basketball, and it's also lacrosse. And those are the only high impact ones where vaccinations required.
And yes, if there's any issues or concerns about anyone's, with anybody's schedule, definitely get with your guidance counselor. If their guidance counselor, again, isn't able to assist, then I would then go with Miss Jebril, our parent coordinator. Has tennis started up yet? Has the boys tennis team started?
I'm not sure if tennis started. If you go to the our PSAL page, it has all the active sports. I can share that.
Okay, and there is somebody, thank you very much, Mr. Manuel. Yes, tennis, he stated that tennis has started.
Great, thank you.
And what is the process on getting everyone into the school? If you can explain that. In
take
the
that.
mornings, yeah, in the mornings, what's the actual process and how quickly can you get someone in?
Yeah. So the process is that the students have to get scanned in the morning. So when they come in, they first swipe in to signify that they came into school. So usually they have like their ID card, or they type in their OSIS number. And then they go through scanning, and then they're automatically into the building. Usually they open the doors around like 7:15 to 7:20. Right around that time. Students can go directly to the cafeteria for breakfast if they want before the start of the first period, which is at 7:48. So students can get in, but that is the earliest that students can come into the building. The lines are reported to being so long, and that is true, Ms. Thomas. Usually that is like that the first few days of school, but once they get the hang of it, the lines start getting quicker. Because the reason why lines were so long in the beginning, because no one knows the process of going through and how to be scanned. So those first couple of days, it just took a while because no one knew the process. But as students know the process, as the year progresses, the lines move a lot smoother.
This one question is actually more towards the lunchroom. Who can we speak to for there to be an option for kosher food?
That would be a lunchroom question.
Okay, and how do who should the
We can-
parents coordinate with?
They can coordinate with me. The student can come by my office, room 129. We'll figure it out.
Thank you. And that would mean the parents could also contact you as well.
Yes, of course.
Mr. Jones, I see your hand raised.
Yes, I have a question. I have actually two questions.
Lay it on.
Only one's allowed.
Okay, I'm still asking two.
It's okay.
First, I have a question. My son gets to school early, but for some reason he is told to sit down in the auditorium, and it makes him late for his first period class on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Okay, so does he start? So what I recommend is if he wants, he should be allowed, he can go down to the cafeteria. So, he can bypass going to the auditorium first.
Okay.
So like that is allowed. If you say like, I want to go to the cafeteria, just go right along. That is like kind of like a way for them instead of him waiting in the auditorium, because as soon as that first period comes, I know what you mean. It's like a bum rush of all the kids, going the first period.
Okay, and second, do all kids enter through the same entrance?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they all enter through the so the entrance by the parking lot of the school is open from 7:20 till the end of third period, and then after third period, which is 10:30, then if they're late, they come through the front of the school from fourth period to, I believe, the end of fifth period.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
When are seniors going to be allowed to come in through the front door?
I believe that's only for students that have a very shortened schedule and start later in the day. So if they're earlier in the day, they would have to go in through the main entrance of scanning.
Okay, I believe we answered everybody's questions. If I didn't, now would be the time to either post in chat or verbalize. I'll give everyone 5 minutes.
Can I just ask a quick question? Because I was taking notes, so I missed the answer. My daughter doesn't have a lunch period.
You have to fill out the form on a yearly basis?
Hold on. We have 2 people asking questions. Miss Hawley, go first, and then Miss Meadows. Miss Hawley, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask, my daughter doesn't have a lunch period, which is what she had as a freshman, but now you're saying that that's not what's supposed to be happening. So who is she supposed to talk to?
If she wants her lunch period added, she could contact her guidance counselor.
Well, I don't know if she does, but I want her to have one because she's a swimmer.
Oh, yeah, so I would say have her contact, yeah.
Okay.
Talk to Miss
Okay.
Landberg,
Okay.
Get that settled, because I know swimming is starting up, so.
Yeah, because I had asked and they were like, oh, no, that's just what we're doing now. It's fine. So I was like, okay, but she's
lunch
an
is back.
athlete. So, okay, but that's my talk to. All right. I'll email her again. Thank you.
Miss Meadows, go ahead. Thank you.
You're welcome. Excuse me. I just wanted to know, are we supposed to fill out the form each year for the clinic? For the student to be seen?
No, it's just one time.
Okay. Thank you. And also, do you, if the working papers is for 16 and 17, do you need one when they turn 17? Or you can use that same one?
If the 16, 17 order is the same, it'll be good for both. They don't have to get a new one when they turn 17.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
I see that Miss Yadira Sinistera, if I screwed up your name, I'm so sorry. I see your hand raised.
You did a great job. Thank you so much.
tried.
It usually gets screwed up, but you did a good job. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Good evening, guys. I'm a parent of a freshman, my son Josiah. So he's into the sports. I tuned in a little bit late because I was having trouble coming in on the Zoom, but I did hear you mention the scrimmages. Is that going to be this weekend?
Yeah, so there is a scrimmage this weekend at Rutgers University. So they're doing they're having their game at Rutgers.
Right.
And so if you can travel to it, you can see it. It's on Sunday at 5 o'clock.
Okay, Sunday at 5. Got it.
Yeah, but their first the varsity football home game, the first official home game will be next Saturday. Not next Saturday. Oh wow, it is next Saturday. I forget that my birthday is next Saturday.
Happy birthday in advance.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, so next Saturday, the 24th will be a home opener against Curtis. That's for varsity football.
Awesome. All right. And then like if the kids wanted to sign up to play sports as freshmen coming into the school, are they going to be notified for when those times come up, or did he already miss that time?
So as far as football is concerned, you can always reach out to Mr. O'Connor.
Okay.
He is he's not only the dean for the security, but he is also the varsity football coach. The junior varsity, or I forget, JV coach is Mr. Elio. But
Okay.
definitely talk to Mr. O'Connor. He would be a great person to just start that process early. You can even have a chance to have him try to, if he's, participate now with JV. and then get that process rolling. As far as other sports, we have been doing a lot of informationals going on right now. Basketball's coming up soon. I know that's another big sport for us, but we're always advertising it around the school when all the sports are.
Got it. Awesome. All right, so that handles everything. Thank you so much. And you guys have the whole PTA group down pat. I wanted to know if you guys needed like volunteers, parental volunteers for any, any activities you guys have going on. How do you sign up for that?
You just email the Abraham Lincoln Gmail account, which I'll post there shortly. And any committees that we have, we can just sign you up. Right now, the only committee that we have at the moment is the fundraising committee. I think we're looking at trying to open up a few more, but we're still in discussion phase at the moment. But if you're interested, at least in the fundraising committee, I can link you up with those personnel in the next couple of days.
Sounds good. All right, and you'll post that email you said, right?
Yes, just give me a moment. While I take on the next question, I'll go and post the email.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Good night.
Yes, Miss Judith, go right ahead.
Hi. So the question is about the sports. Are all your games on Saturdays? I mean, how does that work for someone who's like Sabbath observant?
No. It's not all games. Not all games are on Saturdays. The only reason why the first varsity football game was this coming Saturday, the home opener, was because they were playing the game at Rutgers on Sundays. Traditionally, any home games are on Fridays.
On Fridays at night?
Yes, sadly.
Okay.
I know. I apologize for that. As far as other sports, later in the year, we do we have basketball, which is that usually happens like throughout the week, as well as baseball too. But that is for football. Football, we usually do it on Fridays. And then if there's any playoffs, that happens on the weekend, like on a Saturday.
What about volleyball? Where is that?
Volleyball right now is I think practice is going on right now. Usually volleyball, they usually do it during the week, but sometimes volleyball may be scheduled on Friday. What we do have is, if you go to Mr. Molina posted, the PSAL schedule is on for ALHS, okay, and all the info is there with like the certain games that we have posted for the sports.
Okay, thank you so much.
Not a problem.
Ms. Jebril, I really thought you had dropped off already, and I apologize. Do you have a few moments to please introduce yourself as the parent coordinator?
Hi, of course I do. No, I didn't drop off. I'm still here. Hi, everybody. My name is Ms. Jebril. I'm the parent coordinator at Abraham Lincoln. If you guys need to contact me, I'll put my phone number, my direct number, and my email. I've seen a few questions on the emergency contact form. We don't have the blue cards anymore. Everything is on Opera. Please email me with your child's name, your name and number, and I will add you or send you your username and password so you can fill out the forms. On Opera, we're also reaching out to parents via Opera. Like, you will receive text messages, emails from me directly on that platform. So we encourage all parents to sign up on Opera. And also, when you guys were speaking earlier about, parents not having pupil path, we have New York City schools account. You can find the forms on our school website. If you did register and still hasn't received the creation code or a password reset, please resubmit your request. It's probably because you provided wrong information or you're not the parent that's on file. So I encourage you also fill out the form and please double check your information, like your child's OSIS number, your email, your name, because I had a lot of parents with invalid emails and wrong OSIS numbers. Our school calendar is still being updated. We're almost up to the fall now, but it's still constantly being updated. If you guys have any more questions, please let me know. I'm here.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I think that takes us through our Q&A. If anybody has any other questions, I'll leave the floor open at just a few more moments. Otherwise, that closes our meeting for tonight. Our next meeting for the PTA will be October 20th at 6 p.m. We'll be sending out registration links shortly. Thank you and have a great evening. Oh, Miss Daisy, you have a question? Please go ahead.
You could share it if you want, Miss Daisy.
Oh, this has to do about the Tech Hub.
Oh,
Families
okay.
are trying to log into Tech Hub site, but keep getting an error. Would that be, Ms. Jebril, would you be the one that they would contact for the Tech Hub?
No, but I can follow up with Mr. Robinson or Mr. Valdan and ask him.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Miss Alston, I see your hand raised. Miss Scott, I just want to let you know, side thing, I thought tonight was SLT, just low key. Just
No
wanna let
comment.
you- Okay.
No comment.
Miss
I'm
Alston,
letting
yes.
I'm letting Mr.
Hello?
Jones deal with that.
Okay. Okay.
Hello?
Hey, Miss Alston.
Hi. Real quick, because I know the meeting is about to end. I was trying to reach out to my son's guidance counselor today, and I had no luck. I called and left several messages. Ms. Severo Watson.
Yeah, I can tell you right now, just the guidance counselors probably haven't been able to like do any of the phone stuff because they're still working on the schedules. I would say definitely send an email. It would be like so much better. And
Okay.
then the worst case scenario, then Ms. Jebril can, get it to Ms. Jebril.
Okay. I'll
Yeah.
do that. All right. Thanks.
I'm sorry, I have one last question. Do they know when they will be getting a permanent music teacher? And I forgot the other class that he said. He said since school started, he's been having subs every day.
Mr. Robinson, do you have any information about that?
I don't have any information on that. I can either get back to you or you could reach out to the to that contact sheet, the assistant principal of arts, send her an email. I think Miss Baumfeld, I'm not sure her email address. I'll post it in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, hello?
Yes, Miss Alston.
One last question. I have a child trying to transfer into Lincoln, and he accepted one of the waitlist positions. How long does it take for the transfer process to complete?
That would be another Mr. Robinson question, if you know that, Mr. Robinson.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
No, I was just wondering how long does it take for the transfer process to complete? I have a child trying to transfer into Lincoln.
They accepted an offer through my schools.
Yes.
It takes 48 hours. So
okay.
If they accepted today, they should come in on Monday. They accepted yesterday, they should come in tomorrow.
Okay.
Ms. Alston, are you staying into school for another 4 years?
Well, at least for another year. I don't know. Trying to move as well. So I really like after this year, everything is sort of up in the air, but it's definitely trying to transfer in this year.
See, we have parents that just won't leave the school. Look at that.
Yes, this is the last one though. This is my last little guy.
All right, thank you. I think we did great. We ended at least the good portion of the meeting before 7:30. So Ms. Atwood, I think you'd be proud of us. And we had a good portion of approximately 40 minutes of Q&A. So thank you so much for allowing me to push through the meeting so that we can have a good segment of Q&A at the end. I think, and I believe we answered all your questions. There is one more question, Mr. Robinson. You want to perhaps take that question offline and I'll get their email address? It's in reference to medication.
So, Mr. Robinson, if you can't read the chat, it says, if a student has medication, can I send it to school with a child to give to a nurse?
He may have been tied up by the little Robinsons.
It could be. So I would
Ms.
say,
Thomas, can you
yeah.
send us your
Sorry,
email
I thought
address?
I put myself on mute.
Actually, Mr. Robinson, I got her email address and you can respond privately to that if you prefer.
Okay, no problem. Just in general, if a child needs medication, it has to be administered by somebody at the school, then there is paperwork for that I can share with you. If a child has medication that they are self-administering, we don't need paperwork for that. So I'll follow up with you here. But you have the form, then you can email it directly to me.
Excellent. I'll hang around a little bit longer for questions. Other than that, everyone have a great night and we'll see you in October.
Thank you.
Mr. Molina, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Capizzo, Ms. Jebril, thank you so much for staying on. Have a great night. We'll see you next month.
Have a good night.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Good night.
Have a great night, everybody.
Good night. Emmanuel, thank you for being on. Just give everybody a moment to chime off.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.